All right, as many school districts report that they're having trouble paying their teachers competitive wages as they head back to class, a new claim about how private school voucher money is spent is raising concerns. An attorney for the state treasurer says ESA funds are being used to pay underage kids to tutor or babysit.
That statement is written in a letter to 12 News as our reporters continue to ask questions about the billion-dollar education experiment.
Babysitting, it's not in the law and it's not in the ESA handbook.
Longtime ESA parent Kathy Boltz is surprised to learn the latest revelation how private voucher money is allegedly spent. Boltz says the program has been a lifeline for her son with autism, and she wants to see stricter accountability.
Previously, there were questions about if the grandparent or the aunt or uncle could be paid, but that all seems to have become acceptable and without question. Siblings, too, apparently.
12 News is in a legal dispute with the Arizona Department of Ed and Treasurer's Office in an effort to get a full accounting of how hundreds of millions of taxpayer dollars are being spent in the ESA program. The Department of Ed has provided more records than the Treasurer's Office, but there are still big unknowns about where all the money's going. And records provided by the Treasurer's Office look like this. That large black box is covering up vendors who were getting paid over the course of a year. 12 News is asking for transparency from both agencies. On Friday, an attorney representing Treasurer Kimberly Yee said vendor names should remain private. One reason, quote, to protect identities of minor children who provided services that would have categorized them as a vendor, like tutoring and babysitting services. That response reveals how minors and family members can be paid as vendors.
You know, if I wanted to hire a 17-year-old to tutor my 15-year-old, say, I could do that. Should that money come from the state? Absolutely not.
Arizona House Minority Leader Nancy Gutierrez is an outspoken critic of universal ESAs.
Who's deciding if that minor is qualified to provide this service? No one.
The ESA handbook only requires that tutors have a high school or homeschool diploma, and parents decide what it takes to get a homeschool diploma. The Department of Ed also confirms there's no age requirement to be a vendor, including a tutor. The ESA handbook previously banned paying siblings. Now it does not. The law says nothing for or against about babysitting services, though the Department of Ed says they don't believe it's allowed. So how much are kids getting paid as tutors or babysitters? A spokesperson for the Department of Ed says they don't believe it's possible to answer the question because they don't track the age of vendors. Yee and her attorneys did not respond to our requests for more details. Yee says she's not required by law to provide those details. In a letter Friday, her attorney writing, the treasurer does not have financial oversight or any other statutory, administrative, or audit authority over the ESA program. They argue those duties belong to the Department of Ed. The law names both agencies, saying the Department of Ed and the state treasurer shall administer the fund.
We've seen fraud, we've seen abuse, but for our state treasurer to say that she's not obligated to really do due diligence in how these funds are spent, I find that baffling.
Kimberly Yee has announced she is running to be the next school superintendent, challenging her fellow Republican Tom Horn. Joe Dana, 12 News.
Joe, thanks.